Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of my macro recording video. Today we're actually going to get into actual macros. We're going to start with weapon attacks. So first thing I want you to do is go up into your character sheet, open that up, and when you get onto your character sheet, scroll down to your first weapon and go ahead and roll your weapon. So attack roll here. So the first value box you get is flank. Flanking is an extremely useful tool to memorize. Go to D20 PFSRD and look it up as soon as you can. Get to know it immediately. You want to get into this position as often as possible during the game. That being said, once you know the rule and you know what the rule does for you, you don't really need a separate box for this. You can just put this in additional hit modifiers. So I don't personally think we need this in our attack roll. So go ahead and hit submit. Now power attack is the second input value. If you're the fighter type, you do have this feat most likely, or you will be getting this feat eventually. So it is very useful having this input box available to those people. That said, if you're not a fighter type, or if you're a 3/4 BAB fighter, chances are you're never going to have this skill and you're not going to want this skill. So that being said, for the most of us, we can clearly get rid of this box without a problem. If we do have it, we'll go ahead into how to input it into your attack roll. I'll go over that in depth. But for right now, for most of us, we won't need that. Either way, go ahead and hit submit without entering anything in this box. And then the final box is additional hit modifier. Now this is going to come up often in a game. When you get flanking, you'll put a +2 in there. When you get some sort of attack modifier from one of your innate abilities, or the GM is just feeling generous or thinks an encounter is too hard for you, you'll get +2s all the time. So chances are you're going to use this box quite often. This will be in all of our attack rolls and a lot of other general rolls as well. Either way, leave this blank and hit submit for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up into the chat box and we're going to see exactly what we rolled. So I rolled a 20, but that doesn't help us. We need to know exactly what I rolled to get this number. So when hovering over it, in the black box underneath, you can see I rolled 1d20 plus a 3 plus 4, and that's it. That's our basic attack roll. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is head up to the top here, where this little cogwheel is that says My Settings. Click on that. The first box is macros. Go ahead and click Add. Now we're going to put a name in here. So the name of the macro for me, this is my scimitar, as you can see here. So I'll put SCI-ATK. That's enough for me to know exactly what I'm doing with this particular macro. You might need something a little more in-depth if you want to spell out the entire name of the weapon or put in scimitar attack all together. That's up to you. Whatever's going to make you realize what this is, go ahead and enter that in the name box. Go ahead and click into actions when you're done with that. And we're going to start any attack with command /R. Now, you've probably been in the game already. Most of us have. /R is short for /roll, in which case we're rolling a set number of dice. Either you can put /R or /roll. It both function exactly the same way. Put a space in. Now, going back to our chat box, we know I rolled a 1d20, so start there. And we also know that I got a +3 and a +4 to that roll. So let's just go ahead and complete that like that. Now from here, we can then start to add variables that apply to us. So I have an ability called Spell Combat that I can use. I don't use it every single roll, but I have the option of using it. So I'm going to start with that. So with any variable that we don't know or we don't use all the time, we have to signify it with a plus question mark. The question mark is prompting us to enter something into this area, or this plus sign. Now we also have to specify what we're trying to enter. So go ahead and open a brace. So next to the P key, there's a bracket key. If you hold shift and you hit that, it opens up a brace. Here we're going to put a descriptor for our ability, which in my case is Spell Combat. Now at this point, if I need anything else to describe what Spell Combat does or what I should enter in this box, I can go ahead and take that time now. So I can put in here -2 to attack for or to cast a spell and attack in the same round. So that's a pretty decent description of what this ability is doing for me and when I should enter a -2 into this box. Now, after that, we do have to set a default value. So we have a description, but we need a default value for it. So what we do is above the enter key, below the backspace key, and next to the brackets, there's the backslash key. Hold shift, hit backslash, and it should enter a vertical line like that. This separates our description from our default value. So my default value is going to be 0, because like I said, I don't use spell combat every single round. I use it often, but not enough to justify putting the -2 in every single time. Once we've done this, we can close our brace. So shift, right bracket. And at this point, we can test it out, and this will give you a pretty good idea of exactly how all of this works out for it. So hit test macro. So as you can see, a box popped up. Spell combat, -2 to attack, cast, spell, and attack in the same round. So that's exactly what I wrote here. And the default value of 0 appears in the box. Now, if I were to change this to -2, if I want to use it every single time, I can cancel this out, test it again, and now the -2 is in the box. So this will give you a good idea of exactly how these different inputs affect the input box, the input value box. All right, so I'm going to change this back to a 0, and now I'm going to hit test macro again. And I'm just going to click submit straight through it. So far, so good. We have 1d20 plus 3 plus 4. Many of us are using rapiers in this campaign. As you notice, this is actually giving a physical roll, so I can see pretty clearly whether or not I crit with my 18 as opposed to the normal roll up here, which I would actually have to hover over to see if I rolled an 18 or a 19. It gives you just a little bit quicker reflexes, if you will, to know whether or not you actually did a crit or not. So at this point, spell combat isn't the only thing I need to add in here. In addition, I need to add in a plus question mark. And I'm just going to go ahead and do my modifiers. So again, shift, open a bracket, open a brace rather. Put in additional hit modifiers. Again, the vertical line, which is shift backslash. I always default my modifiers as 0, and then shift, close the brace. And now I can just test macro one last time to make sure everything's working. So spell combat's working, additional hit modifiers is working, submit, and there's my roll. That one was a crit with the rapier. So as you can see, it does speed things up just a little bit for you. Now at this point, we can click Save Changes, go up to the top right into the cogwheel again. And in order to get it in the bottom down here, we need to click under Scimitar Attack, click In Bar. So now that's going to put this right in the bar for me. So at this point, I can come down here and I can reorganize this bar as I see fit. So I might put my scimitar up front or anywhere else along here. So now in order to complete these the weapon attack macros, I do have to go through and enter every weapon that I have exactly the same way. Again, you're going to want to apply any feats or any bonuses to that as well. As we're doing these right now, you do have to adjust these by level too, because next time I level up, my BAB is going to go up to 4. So when my base attack bonus goes up to 4, that's not going to affect my macros. I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to have to change that. Eventually, I'll teach you a method in which you don't have to change it, but for right now, using the intermediate method I used, we do have to go back and change it. So just to show you how to do that, we would then go into macros, go into the cogwheel, macros, click on Scimitar Attack, and then find the BAB, which right now is 3, and adjust that up to 4, and just hit save. So now when I roll my Scimitar Attack, it's going to use the +4 rather than the +3. So changing it isn't that difficult of a prospect. You just have to remember to do it every time you level up. Make sure you check your BAB and any other bonuses that you might get in your attack roll. Some of them may affect it. So one thing I promised you at the beginning of this video is that I'd show you how to do power attack as well. So let's go back into Scimitar Attack. So very simply, we're going to do exactly the same thing that we would do with spell combat. In fact, I'm going to take that out for now just to make this a little bit of a simpler equation. So for power attack plus question mark, open the brace. Here we're going to put as a descriptor power attack. And we can even describe it a bit. -2 to attack, 4 + 4 to damage roll. Hey guys, while filming this, I realized I forgot something important about power attack. Power attack is level dependent. As you level up, it gets stronger in ability and then stronger in effect. So again, with power attack, you're going to have to go through every time you level up and make sure the numbers are right. Be sure you go back through and check it out. Otherwise, your numbers will be incorrect, and either you'll be cheating or you'll be cheating yourself. One of the two. Either way, best to make sure that you're doing it right. Insert a default value. Chances are, if you have power attack, you're going to use power attack almost every single time. The benefits far outweigh the negatives. So go ahead and put the -2 in and close your brace. Now at this point, you can test your macro. Power attack, -2 is automatically in there. Hit modifiers, 0 for right now. Submit. And that roll is not going to do it, but at least we know that's working. Once you're done with that, hit save changes, and you're all set. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go through your individual talents, your feats, things you get from class skills, things you get from racial traits, and find out if anything's going to affect your attack roll, and make sure you add that in there. If you're not sure about anything, just let me know, and I'll hand walk you through the process. You just have to contact me and let me know. So once you've entered all your weapons in, go ahead and close your character sheet. Now at this point, we're going to create a general roll. In a game, typically the GM will almost always ask you to roll something that you're not prepared for. For example, a 1d20 plus 3 for a generic reason, something that you may not even know. Sometimes you'll cast a spell and you'll have to roll a 2d6 plus 4. Unless you have that specifically in your character sheet, which most people don't, you have to do this on the fly. So we're going to create a macro that will let you do that immediately. Go ahead and click on your cogwheel up here. Under macros, click add. Under name, you can put general roll or general, gen-roll, whatever you prefer. Under actions, /R. Now, because we don't know how many dice we're going to be rolling, we start with a question mark. Open a brace. Describe that, which is number of dice. A vertical line. And I always default the number of dice to 1, because at the very least, you're going to roll 1. Most often, you're going to be rolling 1d20 or 1d6. That happens a lot during the game. Close the brace. Signify the D. The D is the command for dice. We don't know what kind of dice we're rolling, so we need to put a question mark. Open a brace. Type of dice. And if you need more further explanation, put a colon and D space, underscore rather, D underscore. By doing a D underscore, you know that the D is already in the equation, you just need to put the number. Do a vertical line and put any default that you find you roll often. So if you're a rogue, you're probably going to roll a lot of D20s. In my case, I roll a lot of D6s. So I'm going to put a 6 in. Close the brace. Do a plus, question mark. And this is where any additional modifiers end. So if you have a 2d6 plus 4, this is where you would put the 4 in. Either way, open up another brace. Type in modifier. Another vertical line, 0. Close the brace. So now we can simply test the macro. Number of dice. Let's do a magic missile. 2d4 plus 2. That's a level 4 magic missile. 2d4 plus 2. We submit. And our roll's in. And now we can easily roll a 1d20 as well. So we test macro just to be safe. 1d20 plus 0. And there's our 1d20 roll. So any roll the GM asks you to do off the cuff, you can just simply click on the generic roll button, whatever you prefer to call it, and you can immediately roll it as quickly as you can anything else. 1d8 plus 5, 13. So whenever you're done testing, save changes back into the cogwheel. Under macros, we put it in our bar, and there it is. I always put it at the very end, because like I said, the GM's going to ask a lot of people to do this often. It's usually easy to have a nice little automatic roller right there for you. Now, as you can see, this is a very simple method of doing macros. At this point, you can probably think of others that you want to put in your bar. Go ahead, go through, and figure out exactly what you want to do, and go ahead and do it. Again, if you need any help with it, I can walk you through it with /r/netherworld pathfinder, or just contact me on the TeamSpeak, and I'll be happy to help you out. Just let me know. All right, I'll be back in a few days with advanced rolls, so I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks for watching.